Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. So, this is the first session for new course May 2024 one. Okay. Before we deep dive into any of the topic, or before we deep dive onto the details of today's lecture, let's understand first few things about the topic, how much weightage it will carry, and what type of questions that it will be expected in the exam. Okay. Usually, you can say from professional ethics, nearly 20 marks questions will be there. Nearly 20 marks question on an average will be there from this particular topic. So this is a very, very important topic, a crucial topic for which you are required to have an understanding. Not just because it carries a high weightage for the marks, but it is a very important topic because even after becoming a chartered accountant, or even currently as you are studying for your CA final, you are required to adhere to the guidelines of ethics guidelines. You are required to you are expected that you should have a knowledge of these guidelines. You should follow these guidelines. Okay. At point in place, you also follow the code of ethics. So that makes very, very important that you should understand what are the things with the topic. Now, let's say, for example, hypothetical example. Okay, I became CA. I'm CA now. Now, a client is coming to me for for the purpose of services. Like he wants some kind of okay, he wants to appoint me a statutory auditor. Okay. Now I can be statutory auditor. I have learned in CA final how to be a statutory auditor, what to do. But why professional ethics is very important? Because when if I'm going for the assignment or engagement of a statutory auditor, how I need to make sure that the fundamental principles to deliver the services are present. So for example, if I say let's say, okay, today I'm starting the service, I'm have starting the provided the service, but somehow I'm not objective. Somehow my integrity is compromised, or somehow you can say uh, I compromise with the confidentiality. In that case, how do you ensure that these are compromised, or there is a threat to your fundamental principles? How to evaluate the threat? A lot of things are there. Even first thing, before you even start practicing, you have to register yourself. Okay, you have to register your firm. So who can be member, disqualifications of member, branch offices, a lot of things which are there, which are very, very important with respect to your when professional accountant in practice. Even you will see some requirements with respect to professional accountant in service. So it becomes very, very important and crucial to understand this topic. And I'll remember one thing. If you want to, excel in this subject, basically, start thinking you are a CA. Start thinking from that point of view that, okay, I am a CA now, I need to do in such a way. That at that particular point in time, when you start thinking that you are a CA, you have cleared your exam, and you now want to serve your client, you will be able to understand audit and this particular subject very easily. Trust me. The reason, because whatever we will be learning, whatever we will be understanding in the whole journey will be based on my practical experiences, will be based on practicality. Okay, how you need to comply with these requirements, and there is a logic behind why you need to comply with these requirements. It's not just okay, it's there, we need to read, we need to learn, mug up, and in the exam just write it down. No, there is a logic behind everything, and that logic we need to understand why. I'll give you a simple example within, not with related to just this particular topic. Okay. With respect to the overall audit environment. Let's say, for example, from a day you become CA, you clear your exam. Okay. Let's say I became CA. I cleared my exam. Those two words will be there in front of your name. Okay. Now, let's say you decided, okay, I'll go for practice. I'll start my own firm. I'll do practice. Okay, let's say you started your own firm, XYZ and company. Now there are two things, as I told you. Number one, you need to get it registered, firm registration. You need to obtain COP. You need to get it yourself registered as a member. Okay. When I talk about these things, again, we will see in the case of professional ethics how you can get who are the members who can be, get themselves registered, how you can get yourself registered, corporate practice, or whether a company can get itself registered for practice, a lot of things. Okay. Now, when once you obtain, COP, you need to understand when I will be called in practice. What is the meaning? I like, okay, before even serving to the client, what is being that professional account being in practice? What that means? So somewhere down the line, we'll see what is the definition of being in practice, deemed to be in practice, everything. So just think from starting, just I started, okay, decided I want to do practice. A lot of things are there that we need to understand and that we will be understanding gradually, during these sessions and even today also. Okay. Then I understood this thing. If you want to open a branch, again, separate requirement. From day one of your practice, you have to comply with the code of ethics. Plus, Chartered Accountants Act, its rules, regulations, Council General guidelines. Okay. The moment you get yourself registered, all these things are there. You need to comply. Then only you can get yourself registered. So think like, okay, the day I'm going, okay, I want to get myself registered. I'll fill the form. I need to comply. Even before that, I need to comply with the code of ethics. Okay, from the before I get myself registered, I need to continuously comply with the code of ethics and all these regulations. So understand the criticality of the topic. It's not just for the purpose of exam that we are reading. No, it is for the purpose that, okay, you will be using, you will be complying with the requirements, you will need to understand what is the requirement for the sake of let's say learning for exam. I can learn, okay, these are the fundamental principles, this is the section 8, this is section this is section this, perfectly fine. But in actual, when it will come, when the time will come when you have to comply, you what either you will do, you will go back, you will search your books, okay, this is the thing, this is the thing, this is how to be done. You will call your friend, okay, how to be done, how I can get myself registered, how to fill the form, what are the requirements and everything. Better you understand from now rather than asking, you're searching and doing all those things later on. Why don't you do today? So if you'll do R&D, if you'll do understand the topic, if you'll understand things from today itself, in that case, uh, it will be very easy for you, even for the exam and after the exam. So don't just, you can keep as a word of advice, don't only just prepare for the exam. It's not that these all subjects, these all topics are for the exam, okay, but they will continue and they will remain with you after the exam. Prepare in a such a way that it creates a value add within yourself, that there is a value add. Okay, I after this lecture I understand what is the value add with me. So uh you have to go in such a way. Okay, so don't just prepare for the exam, prepare for yourself, prepare for your future, and prepare for the day when you will become a CA. Okay. uh, Another thing, even today also, after I think in near to end of the lecture, uh, Karuna ma'am from the Center for Audit Quality and from the BOS studies, she will join us and she will guide us with the new syllabus, the new course and everything. She will provide a lot of details on that particular thing. So we will see at near to the end of the lecture when ma'am will join us and we'll discuss on that area also. Okay, so let's start the today's topic. Again, as I said, today's topic is very, very crucial. It's not just the thing that, it's something you need to mug up because it contains the marks, because it's very crucial for your, once you become a CA and throughout your journey of a CA, it is very, very important. Now, in any from any of the topic or from any of the chapter, there will be three type of questions that will be asked. One will be comprehension and knowledge related, wherein the question will be like based on recalling the concept, principle, provisions, wherein you need to provide the details with respect to the recognition or calling back the concept or providing the principles what was there in that particular topic. That is comprehension and knowledge. Second is the second type of questions that can come is analysis and application. Basically it involves like applying the concepts and provisions in respect to a problem. So there will be a scenario, you need to apply the concept or the provision in that particular problem. And you need to analyze what is the output, what is the scenario, and what should be the correct answer basically. The third type of question generally is, evaluation and synthesis. That is, you can say, application of the concept, but at a higher order level. It will be a concept, a complex scenario like integrated case studies, or something like that in a similar line, wherein there will be not application of a single concept, but there will be application of more concepts. So that you can say complexity is high with respect to that. You need to understand the concept, understand the question, and then you need to answer that. So these three type of questions will be there. Okay. And when I talk about in the each category, you can see on a roughly comprehension and knowledge goes to 25, 20 to 35%. Same way application and analysis nearly goes to, 40%, 40 to 50%. And evaluation and synthesis somewhere goes to 10 to 20%. Okay. So that's how, the bifurcation is there. And in total, from this particular topic, if I talk about professional ethics, nearly 20 marks questions can be asked in exam. Okay. Uh, so there is one question I would, it's not related to the today's session, but still I'll take it. Impact of AI on our professional core subject on auditing. It's very, very far as of now. There is no major impact. Yeah, it's a tool rather than any impacting on our subject. Yeah. Okay. So let's start for the today's session. Let's deep dive into the topic and understand what are the requirements, what are the things in the particular topic. Okay. So as the name suggests, so we will be seeing this topic in two parts. One is the professional ethics. Second is the liabilities of the auditor. Okay. So when I talk about professional ethics, I'll just remove this one as of now. Yeah. So when I talk about professional ethics, okay, what we are going to learn in this topic. First, we will be learning about code of ethics. That is very important thing for us to understand what is the requirement of code of ethics. Okay. Second, what we are going to learn is about Chartered Accountants Act and its schedule. Third, When I talk about this particular topic, okay, when I say professional ethics, and code of ethics and everything, the third part that is I need to understand and I need to learn is with respect to the liabilities of auditor. Okay, generally what will be the liability of the auditor, how auditor can be or not the specifically auditor but a professional accountant, even how the professional accountant can be held guilty of professional misconduct. What are the scenarios that where professional accountant can be held guilty of misconduct? What is the disciplinary procedure mechanism and everything? So that will be the third part that we need to understand, is the disciplinary mechanism and proceedings and everything. Okay, when I talk about code of ethics, so generally code of ethics, there is a code of ethics issued by ICAI, which is applicable to all the charter accounts and all the you can say even you are not a charter accountant, but that will be applicable. Need to comply at some level the code of ethics. Okay. Now this code of ethics was recently announced in 2019. There was a revised code of ethics which was issued in 2019 that is applicable to us till today. So if I talk about code of ethics, it is uh, 2019, that is issued in 2019. That is still applicable to us. Okay. Along with that, there are few changes over the time that has been brought into the code of ethics. There are new topics that we will learn and see that, for example, with respect to NOCLAR, then you can say fees related, fees for professional service, and there is another small topic that I will be taking up is the taxation services. There is a clarity and there is a clarification on that. Okay, so that will I will be discussing along with the code of ethics. In CA Act, I will be discussing about the provisions of Chartered Accountants Act. You can say general provisions like few sections, section 8, definitions and everything that I will be discussing, and the schedules, and then disciplinary mechanism related the new amendments which are there. Okay. Now during the lecture, if you have any of the doubt, okay, you can ask in the chat box or you can write the message, the questions. I will be getting the questions and I will answer accordingly. Okay, so don't just wait for till the end of the lecture, just post it. As and when I will, just I'll complete the topic, I'll see all the questions which I have received and I'll try to answer that. The only rule I say during the lectures is ask as many questions as you can. The reason because the more you ask, the more you will learn. So don't restrict yourself to a particular, like okay, I'm not as of now preparing for this particular, thing. I'll not ask. Or I feel uncomfortable asking this silly question. Don't do that. Ask whatever questions you have. Don't restrict yourself. Okay, the more clarity you will gain right now, it will be better for you later on after the lectures or whenever you will be studying. Second, how you need to do, how you need to study after the lectures today. Once the lectures are over, revise the topic, go through the study material. So I'll tell you. So once the lecture is over, you can say in 24 hours or within the same day, read and revisit study material. That is very, very necessary. You have to read. There is no any other alternative of your own reading. If today say, okay, I'll explain everything in the lecture, is that sufficient? No. Still you need to read, because your own reading, your own understanding will be the one which will be, with you till the end or till the day of exam. If you skip this step, it will be a problem for you. Could be a problem. So read and revisit the study material. Now, some people or some student might have a question, which book to refer, which study material to refer, what is to refer. ICAI study material is well and sufficient enough. Trust me, ICAI study material is sufficient enough. There is no need to refer any other material. Trust me, it contains everything in a beautiful way. So if you can read the study material, which is the base, which is the you can say from where everything will be covered, everything is there. So I don't think so. You need to read anything else except for the study material. Okay. Then if you get the chance after reading and revisiting, you need to solve few questions on topic that is discussed in the lecture. And what I used to do is on a daily basis, let's say, for example, today I learned a particular topic. I'll try to write one answer at least or answer to the one question on that particular topic in a day. That is perfectly fine. No one is judging you, okay, what type of answer you have written, what is written. Just the purpose of writing the answer is to make yourself habitual to write the answers. In exam, you need to write the answers so that you should have the practice of writing, appropriate writing practice. Number two, when you write the answer, you get the clarity. You know, run your brain. Okay, what are the topics? What was the topic? What was the background of the topic? The things and everything, whatever question is related. So when you will write the answer, fix it. Okay, I'll give 10 minutes, not more than that, or 15 minutes to that particular question, not more than that. I will write an answer. I'm just asking 15 minutes or a question or two, let's say half an hour, two questions from that topic, descriptive, write it down. Trust me, that two questions on a daily basis, see the large amount, daily basis, two questions. You have, the period with you, the whole period. Let's say even if you have 1.5 years left with you, how many questions you can write it down? How many? And trust me, the more you will write also, you will get the learning, you will remember the topic, you will remember the concept. So you need to either solve few questions or else just write down two questions on a daily basis so that you can understand the topic. I used to devote 3 hours daily for the, just for the writing and solving the sums and topics, questions on the topic. So let's say, for example, today I will take up 2 subjects or 3 subjects for which I will write the question. Next day I'll take 2, 3 subjects more. Same day, like this way. I used to plan my day. I used to write it down. So that was very, very helpful for me also to, when I used to write, I used to remember, okay, I wrote this question. I remember I wrote this question in past. So that's how you remember things. Then prepare, or even, we will also discuss, but prepare a summary. As in when you proceed, prepare a summary of topic. Now, why you need this particular summary of topic? The main and the prime reason is a day before of exam, you cannot just, flip the whole book. You need something where you can refer the important topics, like a summary, like a shorter version to revise the thing, not to read for the first time, but to revise. Remember, if you have read for the first time, if you have read and understood the topic, if you have practiced the topics and questions, then only summary will be helpful to you for the revision purpose. So preparing the summary in your own. So what I do is, along with the lectures, I write few things on the screen. Okay, I suggest you prepare your summary along with me over the lectures in your own way, so that the summary that you are preparing as of now, the charts or whatever we will write, will be helpful for you till the day of exam. When the exam will be there, a day before, this summary will be helpful. You will not be required to prepare another set of summary. Okay, so you can use the summary prepared right now, or you can modify it at later point in time. But gradually you need to prepare. Don't wait for the last month. Okay, in the last month I'll prepare the summary. Don't do that. You need to prepare gradually. From today onwards, you need to start preparing for the exam. Don't wait for the last month or last 2 months or last 6 months. Some people say, no, I just study in the last 6 months. As of now, I'll not do anything. I'll just attend the lectures. But by the time when the last 6 months will come, you will forget everything. So don't do that. Start preparing from now. Start preparing everything now. Okay. So someone has asked a question whether the study materials is sufficient with respect to the questions which are there in the study material, or I need to refer to the question bank. If you go to the BOS website, you will find RTPs, you will find mock test papers, you will find question banks, you will find MCQ booklets, you will find a lot of material which is available. Even we will be solving some MCQs over here. A lot of content is already there. A lot of questions are already there. You can practice any of, and that is for you, free. There is nothing, no charges being taken. It's available on the BOS portal. Utilize it, use it. Okay. So you need to cover as many as questions as possible. Okay. So this way you can start learning, you can start preparing for your exam. Don't wait for the last 6 months. Okay. And this will really, really help you. Really help you. Okay. Now let's move on to the topic that I was discussing. So as we discussed, the portion, that code of ethics, CA disciplinary mechanism that is there. So I'll start with the code of ethics first. Okay. What are the things that we will be understanding one by one? We'll go into the in that particular topic and we'll understand. Okay. Now, when I talk about code of ethics basically is divided in four parts. Part one, part two, part three, and the fourth part is divided again into two subparts. That is part 4A and 4B. Okay. So part 4A and 4B again, are there like part 4. Part 4A and 4B. Now, what are these parts basically? So these parts that you are seeing over here, part 1, part 2, part 3, lays down certain requirement in each of the scenario. For example, part 1, okay. Part 1 says that lays down the requirement, that is conceptual framework, complying with the code every time, fundamental principles. So that is a part that is applicable always to all the professional accountants. So this part talks about conceptual framework plus fundamental principles that we will see now, plus complying with the code and complying with the other requirements applicable to all professional accountants. So that is part 1. When I talk about part 2 talks about professional accountant in service. So what are the requirements for professional accountant in service? When I talk about part 3 is with respect to the, you can say, professional accountant in practice. Okay. So that is part 3, wherein professional accountant in public practice, it is being, their requirements are specified. Part 4 and Part 4A and 4B. 4A and 4B both talk about the independence. Okay. They both talk about the independence requirement. But the only difference is when I talk about Part 4A, okay, it says that it talks about independence for audit and review engagements. Independence requirement with respect to audit and review engagement. That is Part 4A. And when I talk about Part 4B, that talks about independence for assurance engagement other than audit and review engagement. So I'm writing other than items which are already covered by Part 4A because that is the audit and review engagement. So that is Part 4B. Okay. So that is how my code of ethics is divided. Now, Part 3, Part 4A, 4B is applicable to public in practice. Reason because independence requirement for audit and review engagement is applicable to only chartered accountants who are in practice. If you are in service, you won't be, you won't be carrying out the audit and review engagement. Rather, you will be employed. So indirectly, you can say Part 4A and 4B is somewhere linked to the public practice. So professional accountant who is in public practice, to them it will be applicable. Okay. Part 2, professional accountant in service, separate. And part 1 is applicable to all. That is conceptual framework. That is the base which every professional accountant has to comply. Okay. Now, the code of ethics again are divided into sections and subsections. Okay. The code of ethics is again divided into sections and subsections. So when now, whenever I will provide you a provision from the code of ethics, I'll mention the sections or subsections or whatever it is. But this is how it is divided. Okay. So the first topic for the today that we are going to start with is the fundamental principles. Very important again. Okay. Reason because that is crucial to understand any of the code of ethics requirement. That's the first and base that we create. You might have already gone through this particular topic of fundamental principles in CA Inter or your intermediate. But having said that, we'll go and revisit them and we'll understand in deeper sense. Okay, and this requirement is coming from section 110 of Code of Ethics. So section 110 specifies there are 5 fundamental principles that are required to be adhered to. Okay. So that specifies 5 fundamental principles. And those are 1, integrity. Second, objectivity. Third, professional competency and due care. Fourth, confidentiality. Fifth is your professional behavior. Okay. Now, before I deep dive into each of the topic and we discuss some few things, you tell me what do you mean by integrity? What do you mean by integrity? When I talk about okay, fundamental principles, integrity, what do you mean by integrity? Come on, guys. When I say integrity, what do you mean by integrity? Simple question. What do you mean by integrity? Okay, correct. Being honest, straightforward, unbiased, good, good Anup, good Ravish, good Prerna, good Rajiv. Okay. So when I talk about integrity, it means that a professional accountant should be straightforward, honest in all his profession and business relationships. Okay. So he should be honest and he should be straightforward with all his professional relationships. Okay. And that is something coming up from the subsection 111 of Code of Ethics. Now, the requirement of Code of Ethics says that a professional accountant should be straightforward and honest. Along with that, he should okay, and he shall not knowingly be associated, not knowingly, okay, not knowingly be associated with reports, returns, communications, which are which contains false or misleading statement, or where the information is either omitted, okay. So a professional accountant should not associate himself with the reports, returns, or communications where it is there is a false information, misleading information, information is omitted, or information is provided negligently. If he does, then again he is not complying with the code of ethics. If a professional accountant identifies that okay, he is associated with such kind of information, then he needs to disassociate himself from that information by providing clarification or any circular or not circular but any if required he needs to take the legal advice how he can deassociate himself from that information. That is integrity. Okay. Second comes the objectivity. What do you mean by okay? Now we saw the integrity. What is objectivity then? What do you mean by guys objectivity? What do you mean by objectivity then? Come on, quickly. We saw integrity, that is being straightforward and honest in all our business relationship. What do you mean by objectivity then? How objectivity is different from integrity? So basically, when I talk about objectivity, it is that a professional accountant should not be, you know, biased with respect to his judgment. There should not be conflict of interest, or there should not be any undue influence of others. Like that. So, when I talk about objectivity, it is specified subsection 112 of Code of Ethics, which talks about that a professional accountant should not be biased with respect to professional judgment or his judgment. Okay. There should not be conflict of interest, or undue influence of others. Okay. So, professional accountant should be able to take his professional judgment. So, you will see the term professional judgment a lot of times. But professional judgment is a judgment kind where there is no bias, there is no conflict of interest. You are able to take that judgment, that decision without any bias. Then only it becomes a professional judgment. And you need to take each and every professional judgment with integrity and objectivity, keeping that in mind. Okay, if you are able to do that, then only it is valid judgment. Otherwise, it's not. So whenever it comes, with respect to any of the decision making by a professional accountant or any of the judgment, business or professional, that business or professional judgment should not be compromised due to bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence. That is my objectivity. Then comes the next one, that is professional competency and due care. That is somewhere specified in subsection 113 of the Code of Ethics, which specifies that a professional accountant shall comply with the principles of professional competency and due care, wherein he should be updated, and he should be knowing that technical and professional standards. So while serving the client, or if I'm providing a service to any of the client, if a client asks, okay, how will you do the audit? Or let's say, for example, if he asks you that, okay, I am going to select you as a statutory auditor, are you aware with the requirements of the Companies Act with respect to the appointment of statutory auditor? Section 139, Section 140, Section 141. Or if you are not aware with the requirement of Section 143, how will you issue the report? What things are required to be done during the audit? How will you make sure that you are doing correctly? That is the professional competency and due care, that I need to make sure that I am complied with all the professional, standards, ethical standards, technical standard. I am aware of these standards. I am aware of the developments. So after becoming a CA, you might have heard the term, okay, CPE. You should have these many CPRs, these many structured and CPRs. Why? The reason, because professional competency and due care. You need to keep yourself updated. You need to keep yourself in line with the recent development in laws and regulations. You need to be aware of your responsibilities, which are, specified, encompassed in the law or regulation. Okay. So a professional accountant needs to make sure that, okay, while discharging his duties, he is, you know, uh, is complying with the all the technical professional standards. Okay, he's acting in such a way, acting diligently, you can say, and in accordance with technical and professional standards. And you will only be able to comply, or you act according to technical and professional standards when you will be aware of it. If you today don't know what is the requirement of your technical standard, then how will you be able to act in with requirement of that? So you will not be complying with the professional competency and due care. It does not stop at this particular point. It also goes that if any of the accountant is working under you, okay, under your authority, then that accountant's appropriate training and supervision is your responsibility. You need to make sure about his professional competency and due care. Okay. So that is professional competency, due care. Very important. Next is your confidentiality. Now, when I talk about confidentiality, principle of confidentiality, it's to respect the information which is there, which you have acquired during your either in being in service or during your engagement. Okay, and you need to make sure that you do not disclose that information. You do not disclose that information to uh, the persons who are not intended to receive that information. Very important to understand. Okay. So you do not disclose that information to the person who was not required, or not supposed to get that information. Okay. So for example, let's say there is one requirement in while you will go for the audit, you will see the things, okay, that the requirement is about with respect to the audit information that you receive. Now, when you receive such an information during the course of audit, you are responsible to maintain the confidentiality for that particular information that is there. That is fine. Okay. But what about your own team? That the information that is being received by the team. So, for example, let's say hypothetical example I'm taking. Okay, I'm a signing partner for a particular audit. Let's say for stat audit of XYZ Limited. I'm the signing partner. Now, under me, I have audit manager, audit team, okay, and experts hired. They have been receiving the information from client for the purpose of audit. Now, if audit manager doesn't maintain confidentiality, does not maintain confidentiality, if he does not maintain confidentiality, who is responsible for that? So, if the audit manager does not maintain confidentiality, who will be responsible for that? What do you think? Who is the responsible? If I say the audit manager is there, but he does not maintain the confidentiality, Now, who is responsible? Tell me, who will be responsible in that case? If the audit manager is not maintaining the responsibility or its confidentiality. Good, Ravish. Good, Prerna. Good, Rajiv. Very good. Yes, absolutely correct. The signing partner is responsible for that particular breach of confidentiality. Answer is signing partner. Why? Not only because of the code of ethics, but there is something more important over here. That is SA 220 that will come into picture plus SQC1. We'll see when we'll go with the standards what are the requirements of SA 220 and SQC1. But yes, the signing partner will be responsible in that point in time. Okay, let's go with the another example. There is my firm, a CA firm. I have a CA firm. Okay, I have one department that is, you can call it global shared service department, or kind of you can say, you know, shared department, which do a lot of tasks for me, which are common tasks. Shared service department. Then I have a core audit team, core on-site audit team, and within my firm, I have an advisory team, which provide advice to the clients and they provide the advisory services. Okay. Now, during the course of assignment, I received the core audit team got some information that is that is required to that was supposed to be kept confidential. Okay. Now that information was then transferred. That information was then transferred to the service department to work upon that information, and they in return provided back the required testing or whatever I wanted to do with that information. So the information flowed from the core audit department to you can say service department, share service department within the CA firm itself, and then they provide me the required working papers or whatever analysis I was supposed to do on that information. I received that back. Okay, that is fine, perfectly fine. The transaction happened. Now, that information was lying with the shared service department also. Later on, the shared service department shared that information with the advisory team. They required something to refer upon for their reference. They shared that information for their reference to the advisory team. Now, you tell me, do you think this is a breach of confidentiality? Do you think this is a breach of confidentiality? If yes, then why? If no, then why? I need with answer with reason. Why do you think this is a breach or this is not a breach? Come on. Do you think this is a breach of confidentiality or not? Within the firm, everything is within one firm. I have an advisory department. This is my firm, my employees. Service department of my firm, my employees. Okay. The core audit team, which gathered the information that is confidentially required to be kept within, under the agreements and everything, not to be disclosed to anyone. Confidential information with the core audit team. Again, my firm, my department. So, what do you think? Okay, Rajiv. Good. Good, Mohammed. Good, Anup. Come on, guys. So, whenever I talk about confidentiality, okay, whenever I talk about confidentiality, that is very important to understand. That is not only related with the third party. Okay. So, confidentiality does not only mean that I am disclosing information to the third party. It means that I need to maintain confidentiality within the firm itself, not with the third party, but within the firm. So, in this case, the third party will be the advisory team. They were not supposed to receive the information unless and until that I have an agreement with the client wherein I have specified that this information would be shared within my teams in different departments for their internal reference purpose, but again subject to that is necessary to discharge my duties, or that is necessary in order to provide in order to provide the services. Let's say for example, for the purpose, there is no, let's say for example, the information is something like designs, product design and models and everything. That is confidential information. I should not share with the advisory team itself, with advisory team also, even for my own benefit that will be benefiting to my firm. No, that is a confidentiality that I should not use the information even within my firm for my own personal benefit. No, that is confidentiality within the firm or employed organization. So yes, this can be counted as a breach of confidentiality. Because this was not supposed to be shared. That is a confidential information. Otherwise, what is the purpose of confidentiality? If I'm able to share with everyone. So confidentiality is not something that it's required to be checked outside the firm, but within the firm, within the employee organization also. Another example, I'll take it for you. Let's say, for example, this whole scenario which is there, this for reference purpose that is done after end of engagement. Engagement is over. Okay. Let's say, for example, it was statutory audit. I issued the report. Even they changed the auditor for the next year. I'm not the auditor for the next year. Auditor has been changed. Engagement is over. Okay. After the end of engagement and change of auditor. Now you tell me whether still it will be breach. Okay. I'll remove this one because now engagement is over, and you can say, I am not the auditor. Okay. So do you think now it's a breach of confidentiality? Do you think now it's a breach of confidentiality? What do you think now? Engagement is done. I'm not the auditor. No longer I'm the auditor of the company. The information is with me because I acquired during the course of audit, that is lying with me. But I do not serve the client. I'm not the auditor of the client. I'm not there, in whatever audit engagement was there, that is done, signed and closed. Everything is done. Do you think still it is a confidentiality issue, breach of confidentiality? Absolutely correct. Rajiv, Prerna, Ravish. So that will be still breach of confidentiality. Yes, that will be still breach of confidentiality. The reason because the reason because that the confidentiality requirement is not only till the point you are engaged in the engagement. It is even after the engagement also. And very, very important point, because not only the current laws and regulations, code of ethics requires to maintain confidentiality, but there will be laws and regulations that will be in picture that will require you to maintain confidentiality. So very important point to understand. Okay. Confidentiality is not something that you need to mention or you need to maintain during the course of audit. No, it is even after the close of engagement. So there are, scenarios where there is a disclosure required. You need to disclose to the public. We'll see uh, in some time how this works. Okay. Then the next area that or the fundamental principle that I will be dealing is professional behavior. Confidentiality, we saw, to keep things confidential. Professional behavior, that is subsection 115. Now, what professional behavior talks about? Professional behavior says that when a professional accountant, okay, is delivering the services or is employed with the any of the organization at that particular point in time or during the tenure or whatever it is, okay, he should comply with the relevant laws and regulations. Okay, he should not do anything which should bring the discredit to the profession. Okay, a professional accountant should not knowingly engage in any employment, occupation, activity that should impair his integrity, objectivity, good reputation, or he should not breach the principle of confidentiality. So you can say a kind of enforcing principle which says that you need to comply with all the rest of fundamental principles, the kind of. So he should, professional accountant should comply with laws and regulations, should not bring discredit to profession, comply with other fundamental principles. Okay, when promoting his work, as a professional accountant, okay, he should not do anything which is not allowed. So he should comply with regulations or guidelines. After becoming CA, do not post on WhatsApp group that statutory audit in 1000, income tax return 100 rupees. Do not do that. Okay. Do not. That is not professional behavior. So that is something that you need to comply with the regulations and guidelines. Okay. Do not exaggerate claims for services that I'm the best charter accountant in the city. Okay. Do not do that. Okay. Do not compare yourself with any other. I'm best than XYZ. I'm best. Oh, do not post on WhatsApp group that, okay, I'm best compared to these five top firms. No, do not compare. Do not provide any such references which is unsubstantiated comparison with the work of others. All chartered accountants, professional accountants are, on the same line. We as a professionals are on the same line. Do not try to create a comparison on which is unsubstantiated, or which is based on some references which is not correct. Do not measure or indirectly advertise the facts which are in violation with the advertisement guidelines. Okay. Number one CA firm, best CA firm, super CA firm, top India CA firm. Don't. That is not allowed. So maintain professional behavior. That is very important throughout the journey. Clear? So that is the fundamental principle that we need to understand. Whenever, whenever we need to apply the fundamental principles, okay, we need to make sure that while applying the fundamental principles, conceptual frameworks, when applying these, when applying the conceptual framework, a professional accountant shall perform three tasks. Number one, he should exercise professional judgment. Second, remain alert for the new information. Because new information can change your stand, can change certain scenarios during the course of audit or your engagement. Use reasonable and informed third party test. Now that is very important to understand. So professional judgment we have already seen. Remain alert to the new information. We can understand what is reasonable and informed third party test. Can anyone tell me what is reasonable and informed third party test? So when a professional accountant has to apply the conceptual framework at that particular point in time, what do you think it's a reason that is third party test, reasonable and informed third party test? What is that? Come on, guys. What is reasonable and informed third party test? So when applying the conceptual framework, he should exercise professional judgment, remain alert to the new information, and use this test. What is this test? 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 Come on. Reasonable and informed third party test. Where have you heard this test? Come on, guys. Where have you heard this test? Reasonable and informed third party test. So when I talk about reasonable and third party test, informed third party test, that is something that, okay, simple, the name suggests that how a professional third party, a reasonable third party will conclude or will come to a conclusion that is, there in the current scenario. For example, if I bring someone else on my place, I bring someone else on my place, which who is a third party, not related to me, but he's informed, he's a professional, and he's a reasonable. Okay, means with rational thinking, whether that third party will, whatever that third party will conclude, am I reaching to a same conclusion? So the reasonable and informed third party test is the consideration by the professional accountant about whether the same conclusions would likely to be reached when the same it's the set of information, when the same set of scenario is given or is provided to another professional accountant. For example, let's say I am in a particular assignment, I have received some information, I'm not sure how to maintain confidentiality, okay, or whether whatever I have done I shared within the firm to any other department, whether that is appropriate or not. To understand that, okay, I may apply reasonable and informed third party test, that whether, if any, if in this given scenario, whether any other professional accountant will be reaching to the same conclusion that I am reaching. If yes, then yes, it is informing third party. Yes, then I have, it's the same conclusion that I have received from the reasonable and informed third party test. If no, then means you have not complied, because a reasonable and third party informed third party will reach to some different conclusions, means your conclusion is not appropriate or is not either reasonable or either is based on bias. So you can say such consideration of third party is required to be made with the perspective of reasonableness, who can weigh all the relevant information, facts, circumstances about the accountant. Okay, like what is my structure of my firm, whether that advisory department is my department, separate, different department, how it is structured, everything. So if that is the scenario, and after providing all that information, if the same conclusion has been reached, yes, then my conclusion is correct. If not, then my conclusion is not correct. So that is a reasonable and informed third party test. Now, the next thing that I need to discuss is, okay, I identified my fundamental principles. When applying the conceptual framework or complying with the fundamental principles, I need to exercise professional judgment, remain alert, and use reasonable and informed third party test. By doing this, I identified there is a circumstances which, is creating an issue for me. For example, hypothetical example, this scenario. Let's say audit team. Okay, one of the audit team member is relative to client, or you can say he's a son or daughter of the director. Now, what you will do? I actually exercised my professional judgment. I was alert. I remain alert to the new information, and I came to know that because of that information, there is a person in my audit team who is related to the audit client. Let's say he's a person, he's like audit director above the manager. Like I have assigned, hired a audit director. Okay, so he's the audit director. Consider it's a big audit. I have managers, directors on my assignment. Okay, big audit team. So let's say he's the audit director, and I identified that he's related to a client. Now, because of this particular, when applying the conceptual framework, I took these steps and I identified an issue. What should I do now? At that point in time, the next topic that we are discussing is evaluation of threats come into place. So evaluation of threats says that you need to first identify the threat. Okay. So evaluation of threat requires us to, first step is identify the threat to fundamental principles. A threat could be facts, circumstances, or interest relationship that compromises the compliance with the laws, regulations, fundamental principles, or create a problem for you. Okay, in respect to with respect to a compliance. So threat is something, is creating a problem. Now there can be various type of threats. For example, one could be self-interest threat. Another could be self-review threat. Third could be advocacy threat. And then fourth could be familiarity threat. Fifth one, intimidation threat. Okay. So these could be your threats like self-interest, self-review, advocacy, familiarity, intimidation threat. Now, based on these threats, once you identify which kind of threat this is, what you are required to do is then you need to evaluate the threat. The second step, evaluate the threat. Now, how to evaluate? What I need to do to evaluate the threat? So I need to understand what is acceptable level of threat, like what can what is the acceptable level, till what level it is fine for me, beyond which it is a problem. Okay, so I need to identify that threshold, that level, till what level it is fine for me. Second, and how will I identify that? I need to understand the corporate governance requirement, law, regulation, any other professional technical standard, guidelines, everything. So I need to keep everything in fine, under one roof, and I need to see. I need to. Second thing is I need to addressing the threat. I need to understand how can I address the threat. Okay. How can I address the threat? Basically, very important part. Okay. Like what actions I can take, okay, to address the threats. Then first I identify, I evaluate, and then I take the action over the threat. Once I identify what can be done, I can actually address the threat. And in what ways I can address the threat? Basically, I can address the threat basically either, I can eliminate the circumstances. I can eliminate the circumstances pretty much. I can apply safeguards, or I can decline from the engagement. Okay. I can do all these three things, or any of the three things. For example, if I identified in the previous case that, okay, audit director, he is relative, what I can do? Number one, shift him, shift him to another assignment. That is kind of applying safeguard. Number two, eliminate the circumstances. However, in this current case, I uh, very rare, but I can also choose. I can ask audit director to shift to some other department or resign or something like that. Okay, so eliminate the circumstances, or I can say, okay, I cannot shift the audit director. I cannot shift him, ask him to resign, or I cannot shift him to advisory, or I'm stuck. Decline the engagement. So these are the ways: apply safeguard, eliminate the circumstances, or decline the engagement. So this is how I can, address the threat basically. Identify, evaluate, and address. Clear? Okay. Let us see with few examples. Okay, what should be done in those scenarios? Let me take few examples for that. Okay. So Mr. X signing partner on audit of ABC Limited, signing partner on audit of ABC Limited, decided to review the working of deferred tax. Okay, for financial year 22-23. While reviewing, he understood that for financial year 22-23, uh, Mr. X firm has helped the client in computing the tax for the year. However, however, that was under a separate engagement. Kindly comment under the principles of Code of Ethics. So Mr. X, signing partner on audit of ABC Limited, decided to review the working of deferred tax for financial year 22-23. While reviewing, he understood that for financial year 22-23, Mr. X firm has helped the client in computing the tax for that particular year. However, that was under a separate engagement. You need to comment under the principle of Code of Ethics, under the light of Code of Ethics, over this scenario. Now you tell me, what do you think based on this whole overall scenario? Like, what is the problem here? Come on, guys. Is there any problem in the current scenario? Surely correct, Charu. Good one, Vanshika. Good, Yununalu. Good, Mohammed. Very good. Yes. So in the current scenario, the tax computation will give rise to the calculation of deferred tax liabilities and assets. So through tax computation will impact the calculation of deferred tax asset and liability. Okay. In that case, there could be a self-review thread. Okay, for Mr. X. So in this scenario, a self-review thread can be there for Mr. X because he is reviewing his own work or work based on, work performed by his firm, and there is something based on that. So there could be a self-review threat. Okay. So this is how we need to understand from the threats point of view, what is the current scenario, whether that is triggering any threat or not, or accordingly we need to answer the questions. Clear? Good, Naveen. Correct, Rajiv. Very good. The internal team of auditor includes other assignment and could create a professional misconduct also. We need to see what is the requirements of Companies Act with respect to Section 144. So there are a lot many things which are there in picture. You can write an answer, but again, so we need to see all those things together whether this is creating a problem or not. Okay. So what we do is let's take a quick 10-minute break now. Okay. And then after the break, we'll gather back and we'll continue the discussion on the topic. Okay. So let's take quick 10-minute break. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Let's continue the discussion in the topic. Okay. We were discussing about, how to evaluate the threat and what is the scenario that we will be looking at. Some kind of with examples that we saw. Okay. So that was with respect to one of the example with respect to, the threat, self-review threat that was there, which could be, resulted from, you can say, from an engagement or from such certain scenarios where there could be a problem. Okay. Now, the next I want to discuss after the fundamental principles, the evaluation of threat, applying safeguards. I want to discuss one very important topic, that is responding to non-compliance with laws and regulations in case of employment with listed entities and in case of assurance engagements. Okay, so let me write it down first. So it is responding to non-compliance with laws and regulations. Okay. Usually we say NOCLA, that is responding to non-compliance with laws and regulations. Okay. Now, when I talk about responding to non-compliances, okay, so there are two things. One with respect to responding to non-compliance with respect to in case of employment with the listed entities. So let's say CA in service or professional accountant in service. So if there is a professional accountant in service, section 260 of Code of Ethics is applicable, wherein it talks about non-compliance in case of in case of sorry compliance in case of employment with listed entities. Okay. Another section which is there, which is section 360. Now, section 360 talks about non-compliances in case of, again, the way we have a listed entity over employment over here, that is the in course of audit of listed entities. So, section 360, which talks about non-compliance with laws and regulations, that is there already in case of audit in course of during the course of audit of listed entities. So you can say section 260 of Code of Ethics with respect to no class is applicable to professional accountant in service, whereas section 360 of no class is applicable to the professional accountant in public practice, wherein you can say that it's applicable in case of audit of listed entities. Remember one thing, in both of the cases, it is applicable only to listed entities. The requirement is with respect to the listed entities, not any other entity as of now. Okay. Now, when I talk about, let's say first I talk about section 260. Now, section 260 earlier was, specifying in two categories, that requirement with respect to all professional accountants and requirement with respect to senior professional accountant. Okay. So requirement with respect to all professional accountant, that has been done away. Now 260 only talks about requirements or you can say applicable to only senior professional accountant. Okay. So now it is applicable to only senior professional accountant. Sorry. Okay. So not applicable to any other professional accountant, only senior professional accountant. Reason because earlier there was a bifurcation that it is applicable to all professional accountant when in case of a employment with listed entity that has been done away. So now it is only applicable to senior professional accountant, not all professional accountant. Okay. Now, what is this particular requirement over here? Like, what is the requirement covers? Like, what is required to be done in this case? So, whenever, uh, in case of a employment, a professional accountant, senior professional accountant encounters a non-compliance with respect to any law or regulation. Okay, if he come across any non-compliance with law or regulation, in that case, the requirement of these particular sections will be applicable. Okay. So, for example, if there is a non-compliance, then what he is required to do, what he is expected to do, what he should do, what are the things where he need to, where is the place he needs to communicate. Okay, all such things are specified in this. So it is applicable when a non-compliance is suspected, suspected non-compliance or actual non-compliance is, encountered or are, is being come across to the professional accountant. So when senior professional accountant, basically, I'll use SPA over here. Remember, do not use these abbreviations or anything in an exam. That is not allowed. This is just for the summary purpose, quick notes. I'm writing it here. But you are not required to use abbreviations in exam. You need to use the full term, which is the senior professional accountant. So when SPA encounters non-compliance with laws and regulation. Now, at that particular point in time, this requirement comes into the place. But the question comes is, who is the senior professional accountant and what laws and regulations we are talking about? So when I talk about senior professional accountant, SPA, that is, you can say, professional accountant being in a senior position in a organization. When I say senior position, can be on a leadership position where he can exercise influence, key managerial position, CEO, CXO, CFOs, or something like that. Okay, so senior professional accountant is professional accountant on senior position in organization where he can exercise his influence or authority delegated to him to basically to take the decisions or you can say to make the decisions within the organization. Okay, so kind of exert significance, influence or authority over decision making. That is a SPA, senior professional accountant. Now when it comes to laws and regulations, what are the laws and regulations that we see? So laws and regulations are bifurcated in two categories. One, that is direct laws and regulations. Second is your indirect. Direct laws and regulations are such regulations which basically uh, have a direct effect on the financial statement of the company. That is the direct law and regulations. Indirect laws and regulations, they do not have a direct impact on the financial position of the company. However, having said that, these other laws and regulations could be crucial or could be fundamental for the operating aspects of the employing organization, or could be, impacting its ability to continue as a going concern. So they do not have a direct impact on the financials of the company, financial statement or material amount of financial statement, but they are crucial from the operating point of view. So indirect laws and regulations. Okay. Now, now we understood, okay, no class something is respect to the non-compliance with laws and regulations is applicable to professional accountant. That is a non-compliance with laws and regulations. Still, we have understood the laws and regulations from the non-compliance area. This one, this we understood what are the laws and regulations. Now, what is a non-compliance we are talking about? So if I break down the term responding to non-compliance with laws and regulations, we saw laws and regulations. Now we need to understand what is non-compliance, which kind of non-compliance we are talking about. So overall, non-compliance means non-compliance means kind of, you can say, uh, basically omission, act, any of any activity which is resulting in breach of that particular law, in breach of that particular provision, that is a non-compliance. Okay, let's say for example, you can say in other terms like uh, any act which is not allowed as per law, omission of act, for example missing out filing returns, or any commission of act, incorrect filing of return, including whether intentional or unintentional. So it doesn't matter whether it's intentional or unintentional, both are covered. Okay, which are contrary to prevailing laws and regulations. Okay, that is a non-compliance. Any act, omission, or commission, intentional or unintentional, which is contrary to the prevailing laws and regulation, committed by specified parties, is a non-compliance. Now, the another question comes is what and who are these specified parties? Who are these parties? Specified parties. Okay, let's say for example, I'll take another example. Okay, let's say ABC Private Limited, ABC Limited. Now, I am the senior professional accountant at ABC Limited, or Mr. X is senior professional accountant at ABC Limited. Now, there is a vendor, let's say Y, who supplies goods to ABC Limited. Now, that vendor has committed non-compliance. Means that vendor Y, has not filed his income tax return. So this is non-compliance. Now you tell me what will be the role and responsibility of Mr. X over here? What will be the roles and responsibility of a senior professional accountant in case of this non-compliance? Come on, guys. Mr. X is a senior professional accountant, SPA. What he needs to do? What he needs to do? Come on. Any example? Like, okay, anything. Okay, and let me change my question. Should Mr. X bother that there is a non-compliance by vendor Y? Absolutely correct, Mohammed. Very good. Should Mr. X bother himself with respect to the non-compliance which is conducted by vendor Y? Yes, no. Good, Raji. Very good. If the limits are applicable, yes, under section 206 AB of income tax at higher TDS tax rate. Yeah. So, subject to other conditions, for that it will be. Okay, fine. Other than that, no, no. Okay. Good, Vanshika, Sumit, Savanan, Charu. Very good. Yes, he should not bother himself with respect to a non-compliance with this, which is conducted by vendor Y. Now, reason because this vendor Y is not related or is not a specified party. Okay, it's not a specified party. Now, means in a way, Mr. X, even though he's a senior professional accountant, can he exercise his influence, judgment, and decision making on vendor Y? No, he cannot. And that's why the concept of specified parties comes in, that if the non-compliance is conducted by these specified parties, then only Mr. Senior Professional Accountant's roles and responsibilities come into picture. Now, those specified parties are organization of Senior Professional Accountant. Now, in organization, you have management of organization, those charged with governance of organization, and along with these, their employees of organization. So if any of the activity or any of the commission is done by these four, in that case, yes, that will fall under the purview of NOCLAR, non-compliance with laws and regulations. Again, if any of the activity, omission or commission is being done by, okay, uh, any of the party out of these four, in that case, it will be, fall under the purview of no clerk. Other than any of these, it will not. Which may now, for example, no compliance include fraud, corruption, money laundering, any security market trading, insider trading, something like that, data protection, tax evasion. A lot of things are there. But vendor, it's not part of this, so it is not covered. Now the second question comes is, it should be conducted by related to or in relation to, okay, something activity with respect to organization. So there is an exclusion with respect to non-compliance. Now exclusion is one, that personal misconduct unrelated to, personal misconduct unrelated to business activity of organization is not part of non-compliance. Second, non-compliance by parties other than specified above. So again, in that case, the requirement of 260, 360 will not be applicable. So these are the exclusions from the non-compliance definition. Okay, now what is the responsibility in case of non-compliance? Okay, what is the responsibility of senior professional accountant in service when he identifies a non-compliance? So we understood the term laws and regulation. We understood the term non-compliance also. Now we need to understand the part where comes the responding, how to respond, what to respond, and when to respond. Give me a minute. Okay. So let's understand the part where comes the responding to non-compliance. Okay. Now, when it comes to responding to non-compliance, what response is required to be given? So, whenever a professional accountant, senior professional accountant in service has came across any of the non-compliance or suspected non-compliance, again, it's not only the non-compliance we are talking about, is suspected non-compliance also. So, non-compliance include both actual and suspected. I mean, it is not necessary that you should have that, okay, the actual non-compliance has incurred. But if there is a non-compliance, which is a suspected, you suspect there is a non-compliance, but you are not sure, that will also fall under the case of non-compliance. So in that case, first, what a professional accountant, senior professional accountant is required to do is obtain an understanding, okay, of the matter. Like, what is the non-compliance? You can say nature of non-compliance. Then you can say after nature, you can say kind of you know period for which non-compliance has been there. Period of non-compliance. You can say then kind of potential impact due to non-compliance. The penalties, provisions. It could be there. What could be the penalty? What could be the fine upon the company? The result after the non-compliance that could be there on the company. Okay, or analyzing the consequences of non-compliance, like what could be the consequences after even bearing the impact or something like that. Sometimes let's say for example there is a pollution related non-compliance, environment related non-compliance. Fine is a one thing. Consequence, like impact on the goodwill of the company, impact on the sales of the company, something like that could be more last longing than just a fine. So we need to understand the consequences over and above the fine that could be there on the company. So that is the thing that we need to understand the matter first. Second, we need to address the matter. Now, how do you address the matter? Addressing the matter is the second thing. It is expected out of a senior professional accountant. Now, when I talk about addressing the matter, that we need to discuss the matter with supervisor, supervisor of senior professional accountant. Okay. Senior professional accountant should communicate to those charged with governance. Okay. He should make sure compliance is done. So comply with law and regulation. Whatever non-compliant is this. Okay. Rectify the non-compliance. So for example, we were not filing monthly returns. Start filing monthly returns plus rectify whatever you are not filed. Reduce the risk of reoccurrence. And lastly, uh, seek to deter the commission of non-compliance. Okay. Seek to deter the commission of non-compliance in case of suspected non-compliance. Means where you suspect that in future there could be a non-compliance. Start taking actions which could deter the commission of non-compliance, which could help you in avoiding the non-compliance. Seek to deter the commission of non-compliance in case of suspected non-compliance. Okay. Then the next thing you can do is you can, if required, intimate the matter to external auditors. Okay. Intimate the matters to external auditors if required or if disclosure is necessary. Okay. Then you need to disclose the matter to the external auditor under the provisions or whatever there is. Then determine what further actions are needed in the current scenario. Okay. So for example, you communicated with the Joe charge with governance, but there is no decision making authority in your hand to make compliance with law or regulations. So you cannot properly address the matter. In that case, you need to determine what further actions are needed. So understand that, okay, what is the you know action or plan implementation, whatever it is, how the matter has been addressed by your supervisors. Supervisor can include management, can include those charged with governance, or can include higher authority. So understand how the matter is addressed by supervisors. Then whether the addressing whether the response is on time or timely response has been there. See, in case of non-compliance, time is a very crucial thing. For example, we are being non-compliant to the environmental laws. Instead of taking action today, if I take action after 2 years, then it's an issue for me. So timely response is a must thing in case of a non-compliance. Okay. So how the matter is addressed by the supervisors, you need to understand whether the response was timely or not. You need to understand that. Okay. Is non-compliance rectified? Okay, they might have taken the action with respect to upcoming compliance. What about the previous non-compliance which is already done, whether the any action has been taken or not? And accordingly you need to decide what further actions are required. Again, senior professional accountant are required to exercise professional judgment in determining all these things. It's not just one thing. You need to determine, you need to exercise professional judgment in all these things. Over and above that, if you are not sure what to be done, if you are not sure what to be done or how to be done, always seek advice. Okay. Consult with someone with respect to, this particular non-compliance within the organization, or you can opt for a legal consulting, legal advice. Okay. Consulting on a confidentiality basis, because non-compliance could result if you disclose this thing to someone else without confidentiality basis. This could result in breach of confidentiality. And the last part with respect to responding to the non-compliance is disclose. I'll just bring down here. Disclose the matter to an appropriate authority, or you can say if needed. Fine. Disclose the matter to an appropriate authority if required. So you need to understand whether the disclosure is required. If yes, what disclosure, how is the disclosure is required to be made? What are the laws and regulations that requires the disclosure? For example, disclosure with respect to, if there is any breach and non-compliance to the SEBI listing agreement or any regulation which requires disclosure to the SEBI. Understand whether there is any disclosure required, and you then make the disclosure in a good faith. If the disclosure is required, then make the disclosure in good faith to that particular authority. But again, you need to keep in mind what disclosure is required. Otherwise, sometimes the disclosure can create an issue of a confidentiality breach. So disclosure to the appropriate authority should be considering what is a confidentiality, could be a breach of confidentiality. Okay. For those who are like, there is one question: what is those charged with TWC, uh, TCW, WG? That's a those charged with governance. Okay. So this is how a non-compliance is required to be, responded, or responding. This kind of responding is required. Along with this, there is one more requirement, that is documentation. The whole start to end, understanding, addressing, determining, disclosing, advising, everything is required to be documented. Clear? Any doubts till now? Any doubts? Any doubts till now? No? Okay. Then the next part here in the non-compliance, this was 260 that we discussed about in case of employed with the listed organization or listed entity. In case of audit of listed entity, we need to understand there are few things which are different compared to 260. Number one, that I'll highlight the difference. Okay. Here it is applicable to professional accountant performing the audit of listed entity. Now, the here the need is to understand what is audit and what is listed entity, because here the audit and listed entity are, have a different meaning. One is a audit and another is a listed entity. Okay, let's understand the audit first. So audit means, or audit engagement means, where a reasonable assurance engagement is there. A reasonable assurance engagement in which professional accountant, okay, is expressing opinion on financial statements that they give, or that it gives a true and fair view in accordance with the financial reporting framework, applicable financial reporting framework. That is the audit, or audit of a listed entity, where a reasonable assurance engagement is there, in which professional accountant is expressing opinion on financial statement that it's giving a true and fair view. Fine. Now then, what is listed entity over here? Listed entity means entity, shares listed on the recognized stock exchange, whose shares listed on recognized stock exchange. Okay. Plus, there is one more requirement: net worth of 250 crores. Having net worth of rupees 250 CR or more. Okay. If that is these are the conditions satisfied, then only, it will fall under the category of listed entity. Clear? Now, you may have a doubt with respect to whether the same is applicable in case of, okay, in case of my section 260 also, when there is the employment in case of listed entity. Answer is no. That is not there. It is only applicable in case of audit. So listed entity means shares listed on the recognized stock exchange plus net worth of 250 or more. That is the definition for audit, not for 260. That is non-compliance in case of employment with listed entity. This includes all listed entities. This here, this includes all listed entities. Okay. Unlike in case of audit, where there is limit of rupees 250 CR or more. Okay. So in case of audit, there is a limit, but in case of employment, there is no limit on the listed entity definition. Now, listed entity means entity which will include your NBFC, which will include any of the entities. So there is no bifurcation, okay, which kind of entity, but entity should be listed. It should have a net worth of 250 CR and more. And if you are doing audit of that entity, yes, that will be applicable. Now, what difference will make with respect to the non-compliance definition? The only difference will make is, I'll write in another font so that you can see. Where I was using the word organization, now it will come audit client. So instead of organization, I will use word audit client. So management of slash audit client. Those charged with governance of audit client. Or employees of organization, or you can say audit client. That's it. So in case of 360, instead of organization, I will term as the audit client. Here, again, audit client. Simple. Exclusions also same. And what is the requirement responding to non-compliance? The three areas will remain same. These three over here, 1, 2, and 3 will remain same. I need to obtain understanding. I need to address the matter. I need to define what further actions are required. But there will be a slight change. Obtaining and understanding will be same. Same for 360. Same in case of audit engagement. Addressing the matter, discussing the matter with supervisor, there will be no supervisor. It will be directly management or those charged with governance. So instead of supervisor, it will be management of client. Communicate to those charged with governance. Yes, that will be simple. Comply with law. Here I cannot comply. I can only provide suggestion or advice to comply. Okay. I can ask management to comply. In case of ask management to comply with law. Otherwise, in senior professional accountant, if I have the rights and powers to make decision, I could comply. But here I can ask management to comply. I can ask management to rectify the non-compliance. I can ask management to reduce the risk of reoccurrence. I can ask management to seek to deter the non-commission of non-compliance in case of suspected non-compliance. And last one, not applicable for audit because we are the external auditors. So we will not intimate ourselves. It's not it, technically it will not be applicable. Doesn't make any sense. We intimate ourselves that okay, there is a non-compliance. Okay. Determine what further actions needed. So how the matter has been addressed by supervisor or management, whether it is a timely response, whether non-compliance has been rectified. If yes, then fine. Otherwise, see what actions are needed. Seek advice. Disclose the matter to an appropriate authority if required. And then you need to do documentation. So rest, everything is same. There is no difference in that. So the understanding is that when you identify a non-compliance, being a senior professional accountant, being an auditor, or in case of audit of a listed entity, you need to follow these three steps: obtain the understanding of the matter, address the matter, determine what further actions are needed, and then you may need to seek advice, disclose the matter to the appropriate authority, and documentation. Any doubt? So you already have questions on the back of ICAI module. Okay. At the end of each and every chapter, I suggest you practice those questions because those are also very important, that are not to be ignored, that are required to be practiced by you guys. And you need to try to solve as many questions possible because then only you will get a clarity on the topic. Clear? Any doubt till now? Any doubt, guys? Okay. Okay. Now, there is, along with this, there is one more thing that I want to discuss basically with respect to non-compliance. Okay. Although we will discuss this later on also in detail with respect to another topic, that is the role of standard. Okay. How standard is playing very important role in the current scenario because we have a requirement from the standard also, SA 250, that we will see. Plus, plus there are provisions of for confidentiality that we need to understand. So when we'll discuss the schedules at that particular point in time, I'll bring this topic again. Okay. And when we'll discuss SA 250 during the standards, we'll discuss this topic again because it's on the same line. So you need to see if there is a disclosure required in this current scenario, we need to keep a balance between confidentiality and disclosure. Okay. It should not happen that in case of, complying with no class, we are doing breach of confidentiality. That is the thing we need to take care. Clear? Okay. Now, let us see one question in the current scenario. Pretty simple question will be there. There will be no difficulty in that. Just let's understand how questions work. Okay. So Mr. X, Chief Financial Officer of the company, is uh, managing all the things. He's the financial chief financial officer of the company. Instead of company, company is a professionally certified financial analyst. Okay, certified financial analyst. uh, he is working with company since last 10 years. During financial year 22-23, he has came across certain circumstances. Okay, certain circumstances wherein there appears to be a breach of important loan covenants. Okay, important loan covenants that could result in paying huge penalties to banks. He consulted the matter with Chief Treasury Officer. Okay, and informed him about non-compliance. Non-compliance. No action was taken by Chief Treasury Officer. I'm just writing CTO, but it's a Chief Treasury Officer. Kindly guide Chief Financial Officer in current case. So what Chief Financial Officer should do in the current case? What Chief Financial Officer should do in the current case? So CFO working with 10 since last 10 years. During FY 22-23, he identified important loan covenants that have been, breached, or a breach of important loan covenants, which could result in paying huge penalties to banks. He informed, he discussed the matter or consulted the matter with the Chief Treasury Officer, but no action was taken by Chief Treasury Officer. Now, what he should do? What he should do? Come on, guys. What he should do, the CFO, as per the requirements. I want with section number, which section will be applicable here? I want with section number, which section will be applicable. Come on, guys. What section will be applicable of the code of ethics and what he should do? Come on. Good, good, Pooja. Come on, guys. Come on, quickly. Which section will be applicable? 260, 360. Okay. What is the scenario? Whether in service, in practice, and what further actions are required to be taken? What he should do? I don't think so. It's pretty difficult, pretty straightforward question. There is nothing difficult in this. Just to see how much of you guys paid attention to what I was speaking. Kind of a quick revision. What the chief financial officer should do. Come on, guys, there is no right or wrong answer. I'll say it's at least participate so that you can understand what we are discussing here. Good, Sumit. Very good. Okay, at least tell me whether it will be section 260 or 360. Section 260, 360. What it will be? Good, Saravanan. Very good. Come on, come on. I'm still waiting for your answer. Whether it will be scenario of a 260 wherein in service is there, or whether it will be a scenario of 360 where it is audit. Come on, it's a very simple question that I'm asking. Trust me, very simple question. Okay. For those who are saying 360, it is wrong. It is not section 360 that will be applicable over here. So I'll write it out. So whosoever are saying 360, it's wrong. Okay. It's not 360. So section 260 is also wrong. Reason because just to check how much you guys were attentive, he is a professionally certified financial analyst. Okay. Professionally certified financial analyst. Code of ethics is applicable to professional accountants. Professional accountant means the person who is a member of institute. The first thing we need to understand whether he is a member of institute or not. Here, I never mentioned that he is a member of institute. How section 260, 360 or any of the requirement of code of ethics will be applicable. So to make or to apply code of ethics, he should be professional accountant. Basic. That is, he should be member of institute. A lot of people, a lot of students make this mistake that they don't understand. Okay, it's applicable to CA in service, means applicable to all in service. No, need to understand what we are talking about. It's applicable to professional accountant in service. Pay attention to each and every word. Pay attention to all the facts and circumstances which are given in the question. I could just tweak a word. Okay, I could bring breach, I could bring non-compliance in the question, I could, bring a lot of words similar. You will face, okay, oh, this is this particular question, I'll answer quickly this one. No, that is wrong because you are missing a small fact which could change drastically your answer. That is the thing when I say read the question appropriately. Don't just get carried away with some important words or keywords. People will say, okay, just mark the keywords in the question and try to answer. Skim it through with the keywords. No, don't do that. Read the question fully, thoroughly, understand what it's requiring, what answer is required in the current scenario, and then try to answer the question. Even in the exam, a word of advice, understand what is asked, then answer. Okay. So in the current case, neither 260 nor 360 because he is not a professional accountant. That's a small detail given could change your answer drastically. Good. Any doubts till now? Any doubts? Any doubt, guys? So focus on the question, what is written in the question, every word in the question, and then try to answer. Just a quick recap what we discussed today during the whole session. Okay. Okay. We started with code of ethics, professional ethics chapter. We discussed various parts, which is one code of ethics, then one is the CA Act and its schedules, one is the disciplinary mechanism. Okay. Then we discussed various part of code of ethics within the professional ethics subject itself or chapter itself. Part 1, 2, 3, 4. Part 1 was the conceptual framework and principles. Part 2 is something that we saw, section 260 falls from part 2. Section 360 falls from part 3. That is no clear for the audit. Okay. Part 4, we will see, along with the CA Act, what is the requirement, independence requirement. Okay. Then we went to fundamental principles. That is the part 1, fundamental principles, integrity, objectivity, professional competency, due care, confidentiality, professional behavior. When applying the conceptual framework of fundamental principles, what steps are required to be taken. Then if there is a problem, then we need to understand what is the threat, identify the threat, evaluate the threat, address the threat. Okay. Then we went and understand the NOCLAR for 260, like for the professional accountant who are in employment with the listed entity, and then audit of the listed entity. We understood how listed entity for audit is different compared to the employment with a threshold of 250 CR or more. What is non-compliance in both of the cases, suspected and actual? What are the exclusions from the non-compliance? How to respond to the non-compliance, obtaining an understanding of the matter, addressing the matter, determining what further actions are needed. We need to seek advice, disclose the matter to an appropriate authority if required by maintaining the confidentiality. We need to document the matter. We saw some of the questions. So that is something we understood and learned today in detail. A quick summary and recap. So we have Karuna ma'am with us. Hello, ma'am. I think you're.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
So, good morning, my dear students. We have started today our CA final paper 3 advanced auditing assurance and professional ethics. So all are ready. We are taking flight for the success for this new scheme CA final paper 3. So I can begin with in the realm where dreams take flight, success awaits with shining light. It's not just luck, it's hard-earned grace, a journey taken a challenging race. With dedication and unwavering will, mountains conquered, hearts instilled. Through setbacks, trials, and endless quest, success emerged as our very best. So chase your dreams. Don't ever cease. For in your efforts, you will find your peace. Success is the journey, not just the end. A lifelong lesson, a faithful friend. So when we are taking flight for this successful success journey, our auditing subject CA final paper 3, and today we have started with a very, very important topic. Just going for that, I think Harshad has covered all the threats part, nuclear part. It's very, very important. When we are going for our professional journey, we should be aware what kind of threats are there, what is self-review threat, what is self-interest threat, familiarity threat, advocacy threat, intimidation threat. So our concept should be very much clear, not only for examination, for practical purpose also. And he nicely explained this. I have heard him explaining. For nuclear part also, it is very important because SA 250 and this code of ethics both are important requirements, right? So for this professional ethics, Harshad has very, very nicely covered. I just want to share one or two things before to continue with our journey, because I should be giving you brief overview about our syllabus. Like there are some confusion among students ki which are the standards applicable for CA final level. Some of the standards are covered at like in very brief, or some of the standards are not covered in our study material. So whether it will be asked in the examination or it will not be. So those part I'll be taking care. And along with that, I would just like to show you our capsule also, which is uploaded on ICAI website. I'm having share screen, right? Yeah.
Not yet, ma'am.
1 second. Yeah. So we have our ICAI BOS knowledge portal. It's when you will be going on ICAI website, you will be simply going on BOS knowledge portal, right? On BOS knowledge portal. 1 second. Yeah, we have subject-wise capsules, right? And when you will be going there in final section, you will find it's for old scheme, but it is also applicable for new scheme, because these standards and this professional ethics topic is common, right? So when you will be visiting this, you will simply click on professional ethics and you will get small capsules where you will get brief of our professional ethics topic, right? So ऑलरेडी हर्षद ने आपको बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन कर दिया है But still, if you want to have recap, you can refer this, wherein we have discussed basic principles, then our other important sections, along with this threats wala part, safeguards and procedures, right? So it's given here, threats, evaluation of threats and safeguards. Then how many schedules are there? Now we will be covering this in our upcoming sessions, this schedules part. So in this capsule, only first schedule is covered, wherein in this October edition of 23, this second schedule part and council general guidelines are also being covered. So you can refer these capsule also for your quick revision purpose. In addition to this, we have our Saransh booklet as well. Saransh last mile reference. So this is prepared for just your revision purpose. But yes, I will not say to you don't prepare your flowcharts or your important notes. I will request you to prepare your own flowcharts after going through, after reading the base standard. But yes, this will give you an overview and idea how to make your own notes, right? So this Saransh booklet is comprising of all the engagement and quality control standards like SQC 1 to 799 because these were applicable. So in this upcoming session, we will be covering SA 800 series, SAE, SRE and SRS as well. So this will be available for you for your prepare. You can make best use of this and you can prepare accordingly, right? So this is just to help you and give you overview what is available for you for quick revision. This professional ethics topic is very, very important. It is a complete one section forming part of our syllabus and its weightage is of 20 marks. So 20 marks is very important. And after becoming professional also, if we want to survive, if we want to reflect our profession, it's very important that we understand this topic in detail and we apply this in our behavior also, in our practices also, right? Now I'm coming to our syllabus. So just give you one overview of syllabus part, 1 second. Screen is visible now? So you see it's on ICAI website, new scheme of education and training is coming over there. Just click here and you will get study material. And we are going to our final course. In paper 3, we have in initial pages, our syllabus is being given, right? So this is our study material and in fact, another link is also there. It gives you overview that what we have covered in our chapter. Like in the beginning of chapter, we are coming out with learning outcomes, and we have our chapter overview in the form of flowchart. Then to make understand the chapter interestingly, we have started with a story so that after reading the story, at least you can gain the idea what is covered in this chapter, what is the practical implication and why this chapter is important. And brief introduction is also given in the beginning, and then content will be, we have tried to make it more student friendly with the help of example, illustration, diagrams. In case if you have any feedback, any suggestion, you can write to us. Hopefully you all have downloaded BOS mobile app and you are connected with our Twitter handle, BOS Twitter handle, so that you can get all the updates for that. So then after, in between the chapter, we have given test your understanding of which answer is given at the end of the chapter. Then key takeaways. This is a new feature which was not there earlier in our study material. This is to summarize the key takeaways for revision purpose. So summary and then again exercise question with case study, case scenario and test your knowledge. Now coming to students, our syllabus. The change in name is we have inserted assurance word because it's very, very important. And looking at the global scenario, this name nomenclature is being changed from advanced auditing and professional ethics to advanced auditing, assurance and professional ethics. Again, objective is same because there at final level, we need expert knowledge. We need ability to analyze what are the current auditing practice, what are the procedure, how to apply them in auditing engagement, right? And we should have the ability that if there is some issues or if there is some situation arises, so we are able to solve the cases relating to those audit or assurance engagement. Now, what we have covered in our first section, we have covered all the standard related chapters, beginning with SQC 1, SA 200, Series 300, 500, 600, 700, and 800. Then we have SRS, SRE, and SAE. So these 11 chapters are in fact, along with this group audits, because there also we are covering SA 600, but that's in separate section. So 1 to 11 chapter are standard based chapter, and these chapter comprise of one complete section, and its weightage is 45% to 55%. It means this section alone can make you pass. So it's very important to read the standards carefully. Now, what is the confusion? At final level, all the standards are applicable, right? Starting with SQC1, SA220, SA210, 230, all the standards are in your syllabus. Don't think it's not given, because what we have tried to cover is at intermediate level, you have already studied SA200, 210, 213, much detail. So instead of duplication, we try to make it short, crisp, and in summarized form. We just want to have application-based question from those topics. Of course, there can be knowledge based also, but we want that there should be application based question should be asked in the examination. So what we have tried to make, like for quality control, in these standard series, we have like 45, 46 standards. So we have segregated, like SQC1 is talking about quality control for firm, right? There is a difference in SQC1 and SA220. SQC1 talk about quality control for firm which are performing audits and reviews and other assurance and related services engagement. Whereas SA220 is quality control for an audit of financial statement. So both quality control part we have covered in this quality control chapter. Along with this, we are also trying to cover, just give indication, just give overview of peer review, quality review, and NAFRA wala part. So for that, earlier there was a specific chapter on the peer review and quality review. So that chapter has been removed, and overview of those topics are covered in this quality control, because those topics are interlinked with quality control. Peer review is also for quality checking, and quality review is also for the same. And NAFRA is, of course, you all are aware that. So we have merged this chapter, quality control. SQC1 and SA220 are covered, and other than these two standards, whatever is important, we have tried to cover in this chapter. So in general principle, auditing principle and auditor's responsibility. If you see in the chapter, what we have covered, SA 240, 250, 260, 299, and 402, right? So don't think only 5 standards are applicable for you. Along with this, we have SA 200, 210, 230. So what we have mentioned in this note, if you read it carefully, content of SA 200, overall objective SA 210, SA 230, because we cannot remove these topics without engagement letter or without audit documentation. Auditing subject cannot be. So because we have covered in depth at intermediate level, so here it will be application part in the form of case study at final level. So application part, for application part, you should be aware of what is the concept, what are the mainly requirement of those particular standards. So you cannot skip these standards. You have to read these standards carefully. In fact, there will be application part. So for these standards, you can refer auditing pronouncement. It's uploaded on website, engagement and quality control standard in the resources link. And we will also upload it below the study material, so that you can have, if you want to access SA 210 or 200 or 230, you can refer the same, right? Then audit planning, strategy and execution, again SA 300, because it's already covered in much detail at intermediate level. So here we will not tell you about how to go for planning. So we will be discussing in the form of case study or application based. Again, we have 450, 520, 540, 610 and 620. These standards we have covered in this chapter because it's related to strategy and execution. How you will evaluate misstatements, what are the analytical procedure, how you will pursue. for this auditing, accounting, estimate, these topics are not covered at your intermediate level. So in depth, it is there in final level. But the topic which is related to this chapter is essay 300, and that will be asked in application form. So case study form it can be, or it can be interlinked with any other standard, right? Then next chapter is materiality, risk assessment, and internal control. So it's again very important topic. Not much change in this topic because internal control procedure, components of internal control and risk assessment, all these topics were earlier also in intermediate level. So it's almost more on the same pattern. Essay 265 and 330 is there, and just we have 315, 320 is covered at intermediate level, so application part will be asked, but there may be question asked from these topics. So don't think why this question is being posed. The question will be on these standards also. So no, none of the standard is excluded from your syllabus. All the standards are very much in your syllabus. Only thing is some of the standards will be interlinked with other standard and can be asked in form of practical scenario, or it can be practical based question, right? Audit evidence, since you have already covered 500 series completely at intermediate level. So you have, I think you might have seen the chapter in 500 series. What we have done, we have given flowchart form and we have given case scenario and test your understanding questions for better understanding at practical level to make it more practical based. So this may be pattern for other standard also. And for completion and review, again, we have covered 560, 570 and 580, right? So these are 6 chapters, and then last important part is reporting part. So these standards were already there in your old scheme as well. For May 24, again, it will be applicable, but only change is that those standards are not covered in detail in study material because it's already being discussed at intermediate level, right? For reporting part, 700, 701, 705, 706, 710 and 720. All the standards are covered in this chapter along with standards, because CARO is also very, very important. It's related to reporting part, and auditor role is very, very important for that. So CARO part is also covered in this chapter in section 143. Power and duties and reporting related part is given in this chapter. Now here in this chapter, we are not talking about auditor eligibility, qualification, disqualification, audit committee, rotation. So those provisions, though we are not discussing, but for reporting, it is very, very important. So at intermediate in law subject, it's there, and you need to study. You should be aware what are the qualification for auditor, what are the disqualification, because in professional ethics, if you refer those, these sections are covered in detail. Then specialized area, it's covering 800 series, but here we want you to cover only basic and overview of 800 series, that is 800, 805 and 810. We don't want you to cover in much detail, okay? For related services also, you see we have word used basic and overview of SRS. Okay, and for SRE and SAE also we have used basic and overview of SRE and SAE. So you just, we need to cover in only basic and overview. Okay. Then our new chapter. Right now for existing scheme, we have special aspects of auditing in automated environment. Now we have digital auditing and assurance. Here we have tried to cover all automated tools, auditing digitally, digital audit, CAD, data analysis, artificial intelligence, remote auditing. We have covered drone, other technology part also we are covering in this chapter. So in this chapter, find tremendous change. In fact, it's purely change, right? So you will enjoy this chapter because with the help of Harsha now, I think in this chapter we can use some videos, animation, so that student can get interest and they understand this with the help of IT system only. So we can teach them digitally that. In fact, for standards also, we are planning to come out with some short videos for the topics which are covered at intermediate level. So you visualize those videos and you try to identify what is going wrong, what is the auditor's role. So we'll try to cover those part also in our upcoming lectures, right? Then group audit, again, it's same on the basis of CFS, parent audit and consolidation requirement. SS 600 is there. Audit of bank NBFC, of course, it's same. Overview of audit of PSU, same. In internal audit chapter, we have removed management and operational audit, but we have covered external audit as a management function. And you all are aware that now this audit trail is very, very important, right? So this part also we have covered in this chapter. Then due diligence, investigation, and forensic accounting. It's there is a change in forensic accounting, because forensic accounting now we have tried to cover overview of FAIS, forensic accounting and investigation standards, right? And for the reporting requirement also we try to cover on the basis of same. So instead of forensic audit, you please use terminology forensic accounting, and some of the topic we have reduced in this, right? Then ESG, emerging area sustainable development goals, and ESG assurance. This is also very, very current, upcoming hot topic. And this is a new chapter for you. So again, Harshad, we need to cover it in very interesting and live manner so that student can get a feel of importance of this topic. In fact, on MCQ portal, questions, MCQs are uploaded for this digital audit. All the topics that's there. For digital audit, lot many questions are there. On ESG audit also, we have put in some MCQs. Then professional ethics. Today we have started with this professional ethics and liabilities of auditor. So it's same, right? It's same as our old scheme, which is applicable for November 23. So that's why I showed you this capsule and the Saransh booklet. Capsule is covering this professional ethics part. In October 22, we covered part 1 and review threads and all. And we got chance to cover our remaining part in October 23. So it's there, and in November also auditing subjects capsule will be there, which will be covering remaining part of Saransh, that is SA 800, SAE, SRE, SRS. So that will give you overview of all the topics, right? So this is our syllabus. Fine. So in case if you have any query, if you have any doubt, Harshad, are we getting any query from the students?
No, as of now, not there, ma'am.
So I think they are clear about this. So, and professional ethics topic also, they are very, very familiar with this topic. And for new scheme students, so journey begins now, and you have to work hard. In fact, much hard, because standard part you need to understand. Okay. So with this, I think paper pattern will remain same, 30 marks this MCQ and case scenario, and 70 marks for descriptive paper. So there will be not major change in paper pattern. For MCQs, you can use MCQ portal for practice. So you can, it's given on our ICAI BS College portal. And if you have not downloaded mobile app, please download BOS mobile app, so that you can get all the resources, all the material which is available for with BOS is shared on the same. And if you have any doubt, any query, you can come back to us to ask your query app. So by with the help of ask your query, you can write to us, and tell your friends also to join these live learning classes, which is organizing BOS for your hand holding. So try to see it live, because in case if you have any doubt, any query, so that we can cover in live session only. But for other, so you need to give through ask your query. So if you have any doubt, if you are attending live, you can ask, okay, whatever doubt clicks in your mind, because in next session it will be, we need to interlink with a previous session. It's difficult to accommodate, though we try to cover, but still it's difficult. So better if you attend it lively, put in some more hard work, then you will get the feel of success, right? It's not very difficult subject. It's very interesting subject. The first thing you keep in your mind, that's yes, we can do wonders in auditing. It's very interesting, because whatever we do in a routine, if we observe what we have done correct or what is the wrong, what we have done wrong, so just see in that way कि हमने जो भी किया है क्या वो सही था या गलत था. If we are observant, so in auditing also we are just checking that. The only thing is, with the help of legal provisions or whatever guidance is provided to you, like for standards are there, RBI notification circular act, है ना? For Companies Act, this rules and regulations are the Companies Act sections are there. For NBFC, so for this code of ethics, professional ethics, ICAI section is there. So you just need to check whether whatever is given there is coming out properly or not, where we are lacking. So if we are aware of those things, then only we can do audit. We also, in routine, everybody does audit. Okay? Because if we will not observe our routine or whatever we are doing, we will not be able to improve. In fact, whatever plan you are making for your studies also, like you have prepared today, I will be covering these things. At the end, you need to audit that, whether you are able to accomplish, and whatever is your target, whatever you are mentioning, it's in your diary, that is forming part of your audit documentation. Right? So whatever master plan you have prepared, so if you will interlink with your routine, then also you'll be able to understand why we are doing, what is audit documentation, whatever we are doing. Like if we are going to market, we jot down what we need to buy. After coming, how much amount we have spent, whether we brought all the things we did not get, okay, we need to buy. So in same way, when you are going for audit, we should have a checklist, right? What we need to cover, how much we need to cover, what are the query raised, what is the status of that, who has done this work, who is the team of that, who is member of the engagement team, whether it is done by partner, it's done by article assistant, qualified assistant, who has done this, what are the parameters, how they have gone about it. So all those parts you need to mention in your audit documentation. So if you are aware of the requirement, then only you will be able to do it. So we will also try to cover in very interesting way with the help of some story, just like in our study material. We will also try to show you some videos, and with the help of some story, we will try to explain you. But then you also need to take more interest. You also need to be connected with us, because we are here for your handholding, but then we need your support also. You please sharing our students that BS live learning classes is started for auditing subject. In case if you have any doubt, any query, you can connect with us through this Ask Your Query app and live learning classes where you can ask your queries live. So with this, I think I have tried to cover, and will interact with you more frequently. Will try to come in the session. So Harshad, we have not received any query, na student.
No, ma'am. Yeah.
So I think we have started with the journey. So be on the same. Our paths should be correct. All belonging should be with us. So what should be our resource for our study material, our notes, and all these things you take. Like in class also, you try to jot down all the important points which are covered by, though notes will be uploaded, but if you are writing, your brain will be trained, and your remembering power will also be enhanced, and you will be able to have write in the examination also. So writing practice is very, very important. So don't think notes will be uploaded. You try to write as much, whatever important points you are keep your study material with you, so that you can note down, and after when the notes are uploaded, you can cross check with the same, right? With this, I think wish you all the best. In case if you have any doubt, any query resolved, you can uh, ask us through Ask Your Query app, or you can call us on 012030455925. Harshad will be covering professional ethics remaining part in the next session. And whenever you require, you can write to me. I'll be there for you. With this, all the best. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Harshad. Thank you, our technical team. Thank you, our viewers team.
Thank you.